All right, welcome to the second part of this video based on NT Framework version 6, .NET Framework 4.6, right? Before you continue with us with this one, I would implore you to go watch the first video first before continuing with the second video, or else you're gonna be confused. Right, so going forward, I will just do a quick recap based on what we've done from the onset. First things first, we talked about what is entity framework, and we dived into the point where we say we're going to be creating all of the stuffs that we want to use in manipulating the database based on entity framework as well, which is create projects and as well ended up with a TDD. So what is new is that we've got a new slide which we're using as a bullet point to have a visibility of where we are and what we've done so far. So what we've done so far is create employee database. And what we're about to do now is create entity project. To speed things up, I have created a folder and I've created a solution. And I'm just going to open the solution project. Right. And right now I'm going to add the employee class that will be consuming the employee table in the employee database. So employee database, we've got the employee table. So we want to consume this table, and this table has some few columns, and these are the columns we're consuming. So we are consuming ID, first name, last name, and DOB. So let's do that quickly. So adding the project quite simple. So let me mention again, we're dealing with .NET Framework and not .NET Core. So do not make mistakes taking the .NET Core one for the .NET Framework. So I click on that because I've done that before. So I have it there as a recent template. So I'll just pick that one and I'll name it as I wish. There you go. So I'm going to store in the same location. Great. With .NET Framework 4.6. I'm just going to change the class to employee. Hit enter. Now overwrite that. So what do I need now? First things first, I have to decorate this table, this class, with the table attribute. Of course, I do need the namespace, which is here at system component model data annotations .schema. There you go. So I take that, and what table are we talking to in the database? So in this case, we're talking to the employee database. So I'm just going to copy this name. Quite simple. Put it there. And don't forget that the table has a schema. So without a schema, it will assume that it's using the default schema, which is DBO. So if it's not, then you need to add the schema in front of it. So the schema in this case is DJ. So we're just going to put a comma here and then use the schema property here. So where we now add the schema itself by saying DJ. So without that, it will explode and tell me that it cannot find this object since the objects do not exist. That's it. So and then next thing is to add more properties. In this case, we're dealing with an ID. Let's do that quickly. ID. And then we need first name, and that's a string. Sorry if I can spell. I'll just copy and paste last name and copy and paste again, and this is a DBO. Sorry, DOB, date of birth, and it's a date type. All right. Now, the next thing you should do is, yes, is make that a key. So this is a key attribute. Put in and use the key attribute for it because in the database itself, this is a key in the table. So it's a primary key. So we need to define that. Of course, we need the using, which is from system component model dot annotations. So we'll take that. And then the next thing is to use the column attribute as well to define its original name, and the original name was ID. So this property would be mapped to that. Okay, it's going to be mapped to the ID ID column on the employee table. So we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to do column, and in this case we're talking about the first name. Let's go in first name, that one. Let me just copy. I'll be diving in back and forth so you see where it's coming from. So again, next phase is column again, and this time we're talking about last name. So where is it coming from? It's coming from the last name column. I will copy that again, and it's a voucher. I'll paste it here. And last but not the least, which is the DOB, date time column, which is that one. So I'll copy that and paste it here again. So I must mention again that you still have more parts to handle this. You could say you can change the orderly manner at which they come. You can say the order, this is 1, and this could be order and so on, order 2. You could equally define types as you wish, type of name, and etc. So there's more to it than just what I'm just taking. So you can dance around with it and see what it does actually. So I'm just gonna stop there. So that is it. That is literally the class that will be used as an object to be mapped to the employee table. All right. So this is what I'm going to call the cut, and I would say I will see you on my next video.